And we start this hour with the hostilities between Israel and Iran, which have now entered a fourth day. Here are some of the latest developments from the last few hours. Israel's Defense Minister, Israel Katz, has warned that the residents of Tehran will, as he puts it, pay the price for Iranian attacks on his country's citizens. He says Iran has been deliberately targeting civilian areas. Israel says the number of people killed by Iranian missiles has risen to 24 since Friday, with 8 of those deaths coming overnight from Sunday into Monday. Iran's health ministry says that more than 220 people have been killed in Israeli attacks since Friday. The Israeli military says it hit a command centre of Iran's elite Quds force in Tehran. And the Houthi militia in Yemen, a close ally of Iran, has launched more missile strikes against targets in Israel, triggering air raid sirens in several areas. Well, Israel says there have been missile attacks against Jerusalem and Haifa overnight, and also in Tel Aviv. Our BBC team there filmed these pictures. Well, let's take a look at the areas which Iran has targeted with missiles. These were the attacks in Haifa. This is to the north of Israel, and the location of a major port and oil refinery. These pictures were in the skies over Jerusalem. Israel says its air defense systems intercepted various threats and people were told to take cover. Meanwhile, Israel says it struck military sites in central Iran. Iranian media say a military complex near the capital had been hit. Now, with BBC journalists not able to work inside Iran, less footage of Israel's attacks has emerged. But late on Sunday, Iran confirmed the head of the Revolutionary Guard's intelligence unit, Mohammad Kazemi, had been killed. Well, let's speak to the Director General of the Middle East Association and former UK Ambassador to Iran, Nicholas Hopton. Mr. Hopton, thank you so much for joining us on BBC News. It's an area you know well. How concerned are you at how quickly events could escalate from where we are now?
Good morning. I think we're at a very pivotal moment in a very dangerous situation. Since Israel first launched their rather unexpected, in terms of timing, the strikes Thursday night, things have moved very quickly. I think if Prime Minister Netanyahu had gambled on having a swift capitulation by the Iranians, that's clearly not happening. And I think the situation is ramping up in terms of tension. You've seen particularly killed many civilians on both sides. And I think today leaders comes at a very important moment, not least so that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, can set out his views and hear from his colleagues, because the position of the United States in this conflict will be very important to how it ends and moves forward in the coming days.
Yeah, Mr. Hopton, we are having a fair bit of breakup on your line. I'm just going to persevere a little bit longer because I do want to hear, if possible, what you've got to say, so hopefully that line will settle. You mentioned President Trump there. Just perhaps explain how crucial his role could be in terms of the relationship between Israel and Iran and his influence in both areas.
I think Prime Minister Netanyahu will be seeking to draw the United States into the conflict. And obviously, what Donald Trump decides to do will be decisive. The President of the United States has made clear many times that he does not like the United States being involved in foreign wars. And at this stage, the United States has limited its role to helping to defend Israel from Iranian attacks, air attacks. Now, if the US were to take a more front foot approach and to be directly involved in targeting Iran, Iran has also said that will hold the United States responsible, and to a degree already do. That will lead to a rapid ramping up of hostilities, and I'm sure more bloodshed on all sides.
Also, an interesting prospect is Vladimir Putin or Russia acting as a mediator between the two countries. What's the relationship like between Russia and Iran, and could that help having their involvement?
Well, Vladimir Putin, of course, is an unlikely peacemaker given his hostility and offensive against Ukrainian sovereignty. But in this instance, he may have a role to play, given that he does seem to have a relationship of sorts with Donald Trump, the US president, and is the relationship with Iran is close. I would say it's tactical more than anything, but the Russians and the Iranians do support each other mutually in the face of their global isolation. I think whether Vladimir Putin will be able to engage with the Israelis at this stage is a different question.
OK, Nicholas Hopton, we will leave it there. Nicholas Hopton, their former UK ambassador to Iran. And once again, apologies for the breakup on the line there at times. I think it was worth persevering and getting your perspective. Thank you. Well, let's go now to the Middle East and talk to our correspondent Hugo Bashega, who's in Petah Tikva, north of Tel Aviv in Israel. Hello to you, Hugo. Just take us through exactly where you are and the damage that you are able to see.
Yeah, it was a long night of attacks. Again, the third consecutive night of these Iranian missile attacks, responding to this Israeli campaign that started on Friday. And we heard loud explosions across the country with air defense systems trying to intercept those missiles that had been fired by Iran. Not all of them were intercepted, and one of them hit this building here. And as you can see, there is a lot of destruction. You can see this massive hole here. This is the point of impact of the missile. And this is a 20-story building, residential area. There's a lot of damage as well to the nearby buildings. A lot of work here underway to clean up the rubble. There is, a lot of damage here, destruction to the cars that were parked here because of falling debris. So we've been talking to people, here, and also after a long weekend of attacks, and there is, a different feeling now because people felt they were protected. There is obviously a very sophisticated air defense system here in Israel. But what the authorities have been saying is that Iran has been using different kinds of missiles with, with large explosive payloads in those missiles. So this is, the damage that those missiles have been causing. So they've been, urging the public to stay alert. There's a state of emergency here, to seek shelter when the air raid alerts sound, because this is, what the authorities have been, saying that they expect, these kinds of attacks to continue as this Israeli offensive against Iran continues as well. We don't know what the target was. The Israeli authorities have been accusing Iran of deliberately targeting residential areas. We don't know whether there was a different target here. This is a residential area, and as you can see, all these buildings now have been evacuated. So we're talking about hundreds, possibly thousands of people who have now been displaced because of the attack that happened here at around 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and Hugo, just in the last few minutes, those updated casualty figures of 24 people killed in Israel since Friday. And it's interesting hearing you talking about Israeli people, because as you say, there is a very sophisticated anti-missile system in Israel. So missiles getting through, do you get a sense of surprise from people that actually these missiles are being able to break those defense systems?
I think there is an element of shock. I think a lot of people are surprised, perhaps, with what is being happening here in the last few days, even though the authorities have been saying that, this is very sophisticated, but it isn't perfect. So again, they've been warning the public to stay alert. There's a state of emergency here in place, and they have been indicating that this campaign against Iran, that they say is against the country's nuclear and military facilities, is going to be a prolonged offensive. So we're possibly talking about weeks, not days. And they say that attacks like these are likely to continue. The Iranian authorities are about to respond to these attacks. They have described these Israeli attacks as aggression, and that they have the right to defend themselves. So again, the message from the Israeli authorities to the population here is to remain alert, seek shelter. There is a very strong system in place, but it isn't perfect.
OK, Hugo Bashega, Petah Tikva, just north of Tel Aviv. Thank you.